Hey, so we just launched a new feature on CartoDB called Sync Tables, and I'm going to show you really quick how to sync a table or sync some data to your CartoDB account. So when you go to add a new table, when you go and insert your URL, like you were pointing at an external file, it's going to give you an option to sync, and so you'll see that in a second. But we need some data, and so I thought a really cool place to try this out on would be some data that you put in your public folder in Dropbox. So as an example, we're going to save a spreadsheet to our Dropbox public folder. In this case, I have a fake spreadsheet, and it just has names of cities, has their latitude and longitude, and it has a number of users. So this is for some fake subscription service that I've set up. And so I saved it here. It's in my public Dropbox folder. You can see that this file has just been uploaded. It's the subscriptions.xls. And so to import this data, all I need to do is in Dropbox, right-click on the file, copy the public link. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, and I go back over into my CartoDB account and I drop that in there. And you see this menu pops up, and that gives me the options to sync the data every hour, every day, every week, or every month. And so for this demo, I'm going to sync it every hour, and I go ahead and I create that table. Okay, so CartoDB is going to import that data once, and then we're going to be able to start doing some interesting things with it. So the basics of sync tables is pretty simple. When you load your data into CartoDB, you'll see a few things have changed. First, it's going to show you how recently it's synced that data, and so this one just happened. It's going to say it's read-only, so you'll notice that none of these columns are changeable. We can't change their type or their name, and that's because when CartoDB goes and grabs this data a second time and a third time, it's going to overwrite this data completely, and so changing it would just change it back. We have some options that we can change, and that's just how frequently the data is updated, or we can disconnect it entirely and make this a writable table as well. So we have this problem because our users actually comes in as a string because Excel doesn't store the data type and CartoDB doesn't guess it. And so there's a trick here. I can just convert it to users integers as integers, and I can return it as a different column. And this is just something that you can do on the fly with CartoDB, and you can do this with any column, change the type on the fly. And so you'll see now I have another column that is storing it as a number. So if we go over to our map and we take a look at the data, there it is. I guess I'm doing pretty well with my subscription service. So I can change this over to a dark base map. Okay. And in the wizard, let's go ahead and just do something that we can see really quickly. And so it's going to take this column that I'm creating on the fly, which is the user's number as an integer, and it's going to create a bubble map of it. So let's just change its style a little bit so we can see it here. And I made this data randomly, so you can see it's got kind of a random distribution of the bubble sizes around the world. Okay, cool. So now what we want to do is we want to actually change the data on Dropbox so that in an hour our map is going to change as well. Okay, so let's go back over to our spreadsheet. And this is the spreadsheet. I've opened it in Excel, but it is directly on in my Dropbox folder. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 2 up top, and I'm going to paste that 2 as the value for every other column. Okay, except for maybe let's find a couple to stand out. Accra, let's give it 19 users, and Acapulco, let's give it 10 users or something. Okay, and so then we know when this data resyncs, we'll be able to spot those two, just to show that it's working. Okay, so let's wait an hour until this data syncs back to my CartoDB account. Okay, it's been an hour. Let's go check this. And so one thing we could do is we could refresh it straight away, or you can go back if you just happen to be looking at your dashboard. There's a nice feature of sync tables, and they'll tell you right next to them when they've been synced. And so this one's been synced a minute ago. So let's go back and take a look at that map. Oh, we can see already they're all 2s, so that's a good sign. And we go in here, and I can see Accra, and I can see Acapulco. Cool. So that's the basics of sync tables, and you can get started doing that right away. It's only available on Jon Snow accounts or larger for the time being, but definitely if you have one of those accounts, give it a try. Have a good day.